Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for the lateness. Had some technical issues as I was about to start streaming. I'll just wait for a few minutes for some more people to come to the session before we get started. Sorry again for starting up a little bit late. We're about 2 minutes late because of technical issues. Thank you for coming on to the live stream today. We're going to be helping walk through some problems and also answer your questions today. If you have any questions that you would like us to answer or you would like me to answer throughout the session, feel free to post them. Today, when I see your question, I'll stop after the question has been completed, the question I'm working on. Once I'm done completing that, I will try to address your question before I move on to the next question. So today I have some questions from grades 2 to 3 because I noticed we had some second graders yesterday. So I have questions ranging all the way from grade 2, and then I also have pre-calculus questions as well. Okay, let's get started. We're going to use the place value method to add and subtract numbers. Let's start off with adding numbers. So when you're looking at the place value, we are going to write each of these numbers. We're going to decompose, or we're going to break up each of these numbers into their place values. So 245 is 200 plus 40 plus 5, and 186 is 100 plus 80 plus 6. So now what we're going to do is add up all of these numbers together. So you could go ahead and draw something like this. Let's do this right here. So I have 200, then I have 40, and then I have 5. Then at the bottom I have 100, I have 80, and then I have 6. Now we can actually now add the top row and the bottom row. So we can start off by saying 200 plus 100, that is 300. 40 plus 80, we have 0 here, 4 plus 8, 12, and 5 plus 6, we have 11. So now we can add these three numbers together to give us our final answer. So that is 300 plus 120 plus 11. I'm going to put a 0 here because there's no number there. And 0 plus 0 plus 1, we have 1. 0 plus 2, 2 plus 1, we have 3. 3 plus 1, 4 plus 0, we have 4. So this is the place value method for adding numbers. Now let's look at the place value method for subtraction. We have 683. 683 is equal to 600 plus 80 plus 3. And then the second one is 495. 495, we have 400 plus 90 plus 5. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start with 600. So I'm going to first go ahead and have 600 minus 400. When you subtract this, 0 minus 0, you have 0 here. 0 minus 0 again, 0. 6 minus 4, we have 2. So now we've subtracted this from 600. Now I'm going to subtract 90 from that. So I subtract 90 right here. So this is going to be 0 minus 0, 0. 0 minus 9, we can't do that. So we're going to come over here and borrow 1. The one we get is 10. 10 plus 0 That is 10 minus 9 is going to give me 1. And 1 minus 0 is 1. So I have 110. And then I also need to subtract 5. So minus 5. I'm going to put zeros all over here, just so that we have the same number of numbers in the top row and the bottom row. 0 minus 5, can't take 5 from 0. So we're going to cross this out and we borrow 1 here. So we're left with 0. The one we borrow becomes 10. 10 minus 5, we have 5. 0 minus 0, we have 0. 1 minus 0, we have 1. So when I take 495 from 600, I'm left with 105. So what I'm going to now do is I'm going to add 80 and the 3 that's left over from 683. I'm going to add them up together. I'm going to put a 0 here, put the zeros here, and then add up the numbers. 5 plus 0 plus 3 is going to give you 8. 0 plus 8 plus 0 is going to give you 8. And 1 plus 0 plus 0 is going to give you 8. So this is equal to 188. And this right here is 431. The next example we're going to look at is estimate the following to the nearest 100. So what we're going to do is write each of these numbers, 6, 3, 8, 7. And we want to find the estimate to the nearest 100. So let's look at the number in the 100 position. That is going to be 3. Then once you get to that point, you look for the number to the right of 3, which is 8. 8 is more than 5, so that means we're going to make 3 4 and then add zeros at the end. Then let's look at 359. The 3 is in the 100th position as well. We're going to look to the right. We can see that that number is 5 or more. So that means we're going to increase the 3 to 4 and we replace it with 0 because we want the nearest 100. So that means there's going to be a 0 in the tens place and also in the ones place. So now we're going to divide 6,400 divided by 400. Now here's a trick that I want you to take note of. When you have zeros at the end of both numbers, what you can now do is just divide 64 by 4. So 6 divided by 4, I have one group of 4 in 6. 1 multiplied by 4, we have 4. 6 minus 4, we have 2. And then we bring down the 4. So how many groups of 4 are there in 24? So you have multiple ways to do this. You can either, most likely I prefer that you learn your multiplication tables, especially for third graders. But if you are a second grader, if you want to find out how many groups, let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to try to draw 24 circles. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So now we want to find out how many groups of 4 are in 24. So I'm going to count 4s. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is one group right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another group right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have a third group. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm only doing this for second graders. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then finally 1, 2, 3, 4. So how many bars do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what this means is that there are 6 groups of 4 in 24. So 6 multiplied by 4, we have 24. And we can subtract these numbers and we have 0 left over. So the estimate here is going to be 16. Now the next example we have is also to estimate to the nearest 100. So 184. So I'm going to look for the number in the 100 position, which is 1 right here. And now we're going to look at the number to the right of this number, which is 8. 8 is greater than 5. So that means we're going to increase the 1 to 2. And then we have zeros to replace the tens position. and the one position. So let's look at 342. We look for the number in the 100 position, which is 3. Remember, this is ones, tens, hundreds. And so now we look at the number on the right hand side. This is less than 5. So we're just going to leave 3 alone and replace with zeros. So now what we're going to do is multiply 200 by 300. Now there's a simple trick here. We're going to ignore all the zeros and just multiply the non-zero numbers, which is the numbers that are not 0. 2 multiplied by 3, we have 6. And then how many zeros do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're just going to add 4 zeros to the end. And then we count 1, 2, 3, and then put a comma. And that's going to give us the solution to this problem. There are no questions yet, so once I get some questions, I'll stop and try to answer them. The next question here is, what is the perimeter of a rectangle that has a length of 6 feet and a width of 11 feet? Okay, so we have a length of 6 feet and we have a width of 11. Let's see if I can draw a straight line. Draw another straight line. Okay, so this is roughly what our rectangle is going to look like. So we have 11 feet. And when you have a rectangle, one thing to remember is opposite sides are equal. So this is also 11 feet. This is also 6 feet. So perimeter is the sum of all the sides. So that means you're just going to add all the sides together. So this is going to give you 6 plus 6 plus 11 plus 11. So this is going to give you 6 plus 6 is 12. We're going to add 11 and 11. So for fourth graders, you should be able to do this. 12 plus 11 plus 11. 2 plus 1 is going to give you 4. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is going to give you 3. So this is going to give you 34 feet. The other way to solve this is perimeter is going to be 2 multiplied by the sum of the length and the width, which is 2 multiplied by 6 plus 11, which is 2 multiplied by 17. And then we can multiply 17 by 2 here. 7 multiplied by 2, we have 14. We write 4 here and bring 1 up here. 1 multiplied by 2, 2 plus 1, we have 3. So this is going to give us 34 feet. So just 2 different ways to get to your answer. This is fifth graders, so learning how to estimate time of arrival based and also understanding how to convert from minutes to hours and so on and so forth. So Martha lives 160 minutes from her best friend's house. If she lives for her best friend's house at 10:35 a.m., what time does she get there? So the first thing we're going to do here is to convert 160 minutes to minutes and hours. So how many minutes are in an hour? So there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. Now we have 160 minutes. So we want to find out how many hours and minutes are in 160 minutes. So let's go ahead and just divide 160 divided by 60. So we can find out how many groups of 60 do we have in 160. Let's try 3. 60 multiplied by 3, we have 0, 180. So we can say safely there are 2 groups of 60 in 160. So we multiply 2 by 60, we have 120 minutes, and we're left with 40 minutes. So therefore, 160 minutes is the same as 2 hours and 40 minutes. Now we want to find out the time of departure is 10:35 a.m. and the duration is 2 hours and 40 minutes. We want to find out the time of arrival. So what we're going to do here is just go ahead and add like you would normally add numbers, and I'll show you exactly where there's a difference here. 5 plus 0, we have 5. 3 plus 4, we have 7. Now, 0 plus 2, we have 2, and then 1 plus 0, we have 1. Now, here's the problem. The problem is that we only have 60 minutes in an hour. Here we're seeing 75. So we're going to find out how many groups of 60 are in 75. I can safely assume there's 1 here. 1 multiplied by 60, we have 60. And we subtract, and we're left with 15 minutes. So this means here that after 12 o'clock, you have 75 minutes. So that actually means 1 hour and 15 minutes. So that means that we have 13, 15 here. Another way to look at this is that this is your 24-hour clock. Some questions may allow you to leave it as a 24-hour clock, but if you're using the 12-hour clock, after noon, you're going to subtract 12 from that result, and you're left with 1:15, and this is going to be your PM. And the reason why we're doing this is because we're taking note of the fact that the question is in a 12-hour clock time measure. So this is at AM, so our answer is going to be in PM. Brandon receives, no questions yet. Brandon receives $20 for a store visit. At the store, a jar of candy costs $2.35. Important thing to note. And donuts cost $3.25 a box. So an important thing to note as well. If he buys 4 jars of candy, so 4 jars of candy, and buys 2 boxes of donuts, 2 boxes of donuts, how much change should he receive at the store? So let's find out how much he spends on the candy. So a jar of candy is $2.35. So we need to multiply that by 4 to find out how much we spend on candy. So this is 5 multiplied by 4. We have 20 here, 0. You write 2 up here. 3 multiplied by 4, 12 plus 2, 14. We write 4 and we bring 1 up here. 2 multiplied by 4, 8 plus 1, we have 9. So he spends $9.40 on candy. What about for the donuts? He has $3.25 and he's only buying 2 of them. So multiply this by 2. 5 multiplied by 2, we have 10. So you write 0 here, you bring 1 up here. 2 multiplied by 2, 4 plus 1, we have 5. And 3 multiplied by 2, we have 6. So what we're seeing here is that you have $9.40 for candy, $6.50 for donuts. So how much does he spend altogether? So we have $9.40 plus $6.50. So we add this all together to find out how much he spent. So we have 0 here, 4 plus 5, we have 9, 9 plus 6, we have 15. So Brandon spends $15.90 on the donuts and the candy. We want to find out how much he has left over, or how much does he get as a change if he gives the cashier $20. So from $20, I spend, which means it's a negative, it's a minus for me. I spend $15.90. So I need to find out what my balance is. 0 minus 0 is 0. 0 minus 9, we can't do that. So we come over here. There's also a 0 here. We can't do that. So we come over here and we borrow 1 from that. And this becomes 10. Now, we can borrow 1 from here and this becomes 9. The one we borrow becomes 10 over here. And so 10 minus 9 is 1. 9 minus 5, we have 4. 1 minus 1 is 0. So Brandon gets a change of $4.10. Let's convert 0.467 to a percent. So when you're in about 6th to 8th grade, the 6th to 8th grade, you're looking at percent, decimals, and fractions. So every day so far, I've tried to do something along those lines for the 6th to 8th graders. Now we're saying that we want to convert this to percent. When you want to convert to percent, all you have to do is to multiply by 100. Convert to percent. The main thing to do is multiply by 100. So what we're going to do here is 0.467 multiplied by 100. Now, how would you go ahead? How do you multiply by 100? 100 is the same as, this is the same as 0.467 times 10 to the power of 2. There's a positive 2 here. So what you're going to do is you're going to move the decimal 2 units towards the positive direction. So the decimal goes here, 1 ends up right here. So this is going to give you 46.7%. So that's the trick with converting from a decimal to a percent. Now we're looking at absolute values. We're going to solve absolute value equations. So remember, with absolute value, if I have a number here, let's say it's negative 4, my absolute value of that is going to be positive 4. If I also have positive 4, my absolute value there is also going to be positive 4. So we're going to, there are different ways that this is taught, but this is the way that I think is consistent. We're going to do this. I'm going to put a positive sign in front of it to show that you can have a positive value inside here. So 2x minus 3 equal to 7. And then I'm going to put a negative sign outside of here so you can see the other possibility as well. This is going to give you 7. So 2x minus 3, let's go ahead and solve that. 2x minus 3 equal to 7. Let's add 3 to both sides. So 2x equal to 7 plus 3 is 10. So we divide by 2. And so x equal to 5. The other option you have is minus of 2x minus 3 equal to 7. So we're going to distribute the negative sign into the expression. So we have negative 2x plus 3 equal to 7. Now we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. Negative 2x equal to 4. Now we divide both sides by 2. By negative 2, sorry. And so we have x equal to negative 2. So therefore, x is going to be negative 2 and 5. This is a common type of question in Algebra 1, Algebra 2. For a lot of SAT students and ACT students, this will be helpful as well. So we're looking at what is the value of x. We're trying to find the value of x here. So 6 to the power of 3x plus 4 equal to 36 to the power of x. Now, when you're working with exponents, the most important thing to think about is, what do I need to do to make sure my base is the same? So your base right here is, this number right here is your base. You can't work with it this way. So what you need to do is either find a way to make 636 or to reduce 636 to 6. So the most important relationship here is that 6 to the power of 2 is equal to 36. So instead of 36, I'm going to replace it with 6 to the power of 2. So 6 to the power of 3x plus 4 is equal to 6 to the power of 2 to the power of x. All right, so now we're going to replace it. We're going to simplify again. So 6 to the power of 3x plus 4 is equal to 6 to the power of, when you have an exponent rule, if I have a to the power of m and I have an exponent outside of that, is the same as a to the power of m multiplied by n. So this is 6 to the power of 2x. Now the rule also states that when your bases are the same, then you can always compute the exponents, which means because our bases are now the same, we can work with the exponents. So 3x plus 4 is equal to 2x. So I'm going to subtract, because I want to isolate x, I'm just going to subtract 3x from both sides so I can isolate the x. And so 4 is equal to negative x. I'm going to divide by negative 1 because I need x to be positive. And so negative 4 equal to x. So what we're saying here is that if x equal to negative 4, then both sides of this equation are going to be equal. So this is a geometry question. And there's some rules here, and this is a tangent rule for circles. And what the rule states is that when you have a tangent and a radius, they form a 90 degree at the point of, they form a 90 degree angle when they meet. And so we have here a right triangle, and we're going to use Pythagorean theorem to get the value of the radius. So also remember, the radius is the line from the center of the circle to any point on the circle. So from O to E, you also have a radius here. So Pythagoras theorem says that the square of each of these sides added together should give you the square of the large side. So let's go ahead and I'm going to use the side lengths first. So I have OA squared plus AB squared is equal to OB squared. So now let's find out what the value is. OA is actually R, so that's our radius squared, plus AB is 24 squared, equal to OB is going to be R plus 16 squared. So here we're going to apply some of what we learned in previous sessions with multiplying binomials. So let's go ahead and do that somewhere here. So R plus 16, we'll go ahead and do it as we go through this. So R squared plus 24 squared, this is going to give you 576. In this case, you could use a calculator, but I don't like using calculators because, and I don't encourage it, because when you start going higher in your education, and for students that are going to be taking the SAT, there's going to be a part of your test where you're not even allowed to use a calculator. So it's a good idea to develop a habit of understanding how to do the math on your own without necessarily using a calculator all the time. You can actually just use the calculator as you learn to check that you're doing it the right way, because always remember that at some point the calculator will not be in your best interest to get so accustomed to using it all the time. So R plus 16 squared is going to be R plus 16 multiplied by R plus 16. So now we're going to use our FOIL. So let me use FOIL here. So our first terms is going to be R multiplied by R. So this is R squared. Our outer terms is going to be R here multiplied by 16. So this is going to give me 16R. Our inner terms, R multiplied by 16 as well, is our inner terms. So that's going to give us 16R. And then our last terms are going to be 16 multiplied by 16, which is going to give us 256. So therefore, R squared plus 576 is equal to R squared plus 32R plus 256. Now we have R on both sides, so you can actually cross this out, which is also the same as saying subtract R squared from both sides. So now we're left with 576 equal to 32R plus 256. We need to isolate R because that's what we're looking for. So I'm going to subtract 256 from both sides. And so we're left with let's see here, we have 0 here, 2, 3. This is equal to 32r. So now we have 32r is equal to 320. So we divide both sides by 32. And r is equal to 10. So the radius of this circle is actually going to be 10 units. And I don't see any questions today. So this is going to be our last set of, this is going to be our last question that has been prepared. So we're looking at a hyperbola. The equation of a hyperbola is 9x squared. It's an error, should be minus right here. 9x squared minus 16y squared equal to 144. So what we're going to do here is, let's start with the standard equation of a hyperbola is going to be x squared over a squared minus y squared over b squared equal to 1. But here we have 9x squared minus 16y squared equal to 144. We need 1 on the right hand side, so we're just going to divide everything by 144. Let's divide everything by 144 so we can get 1 on the right hand side. So 9x squared, 144 divided by 9, so this is going to give us x squared, and I'm going through this way because this is mostly for pre-calculus students. So this is going to give you x squared over 16 minus x squared over 9 equal to 1. So now we're going to compare against x squared over a squared. So this is going to be the same as x squared over 4 squared. Sorry, I have an error here. This should be a y right here. Minus y squared over 3 squared is equal to 1. So now we want to find out what the vertices are. The vertices are always plus, minus, a, 0. So we're going to find out what's the value of a when we compare. So a is equal to 4. So your vertices are going to be 4, 0, and negative 4, 0. So those are your vertices. Now your foci, or it's called foci because it's focus, they are plural, the plural of focus. So your focus is actually going to be your c. So a squared plus b squared equal to c squared. So here a is 4, so 4 squared plus b is 3 right here. This plus 3 squared is equal to 25, and 25 is 5 squared. So your focus is plus minus c 0. So this right here is your these are your vertices. Then your foci are going to be negative 5, 0, and positive 5, 0. Now, what are your asymptotes? This was a question from yesterday. So your asymptote is going to be y equal to plus or minus b over ax. So in this case, your asymptote is going to be y equal to, where is b? B is 3, and then a is 4x. So this is going to be plus minus. Now let's see if we can draw a graph that looks like this, that represents this hyperbola. It's going to look something like this. Let's go ahead and draw our axis right here. So we have, right here we have our focus. Let's make this focus, the focus right here. This is 5, and then this is minus 5, and then our our vertices are 4. Let's make this 4 here, and this is minus 4. So now we have our asymptote. Our asymptote is a line that the graph never touches. So let's go ahead and draw a line here. So this is a plus or minus. Let's see, we have the two asymptotes are y equal to 3 over 4x, y equal to negative 3 over 4x. So we can see here that it passes through the origin. So it's going to pass through the origin here. And then the other asymptote passes through the origin right here. And then our vertex is right here. So your graph is going to look like this, and it's going to look like that. That's your vertex. So this is the equation of your hyperbola, and this is what the graph is going to look like after you find your vertex, your foci, and your asymptotes. So are there any questions for today? If you have no questions, we'll have to wrap it up. Let me see. I'll wait for a few more seconds and see if anyone has any questions. Any questions? Okay. Since there are no questions, we will I don't have any questions today. I noticed someone just joined, so if you have any questions, we have some time to answer the questions. Feel free to ask any questions that you may have. We have another 20 minutes to walk through problems together. Does anyone want me to go over something that I went through earlier? If you do, feel free to send a message, or if you have any questions. I know with students being at home, if there's a parent that has questions on how to help their children with a specific topic, feel free to ask as well. We'll be glad to help you out with that. Or if there is any question from your child's school that you're not really sure how to approach, or you can't find helpful resources, let me know, and I'll be glad to help you with that as well. If you don't have any questions today, you can always send questions through our email address. The information is out here, info@mathis.com, and you can also text the questions to us, or you can actually leave it as a comment to this video as well. If you have questions or comments, feel free to do that, so that we'll take that into consideration for our next class, our next session. What I try to do with these sessions is whatever questions I get in the current session, I try to create example questions for the next session so I can address those as well. All right. All right, I'll wait for 5 more minutes to see if anyone comes up with questions, or anyone has any questions, or if anybody joins and has a question that they would like to have answered. I'll wait for another 5 minutes. Since nobody has questions for me, let me ask a general question and see if you guys will be able to answer it. It's going to be a trick question. So what is the value of 90 squared minus 80 squared? Anybody know the answer to that? Anybody know how to do this? You can post your answer in the chat if you have an answer. Let's have a light-hearted moment. You can post your answer in the chat if you have an answer. Okay, I don't see an answer yet. Does anybody need some time to figure it out? Anyone need some help here? Okay, nobody has got an answer. So let me show you how I do this typically. It's going to be 90 plus 80 multiplied by 90 minus 80. So this is 90 plus 80 is 170. 90 minus 80 is 10. So this is going to give me 1,700. So the other way you would have done it, for people who don't know this trick, what you would do is 90 squared, 90 times 90, so that's going to give you 8,100. And then 80 times 80, that's going to give you 6,400. And then you now go ahead and say 8,100 minus 6,400. 0, subtract. This is going to give you 7, 11. 11 minus 4, 7. So that's the way most people would have done that. But this is a short way to go about doing that. Let me try another one. Let's try another one. I'm going to draw. Let me do this one here. I have 6, 3, 45, 8, 4, 80. What's going to be the missing number here? 9, 6, x. What is x? Let's give 1 minute to see if you can figure out this puzzle. If you're just joining, the puzzle is on the screen. Trying to see if you can figure out what the value of x is based on this. So this is a complete sequence here. This is a complete sequence, and then I'm trying to see what you can do to complete this sequence. Any answers? Any answers? No answers? Okay. All right, if there are no answers, we're going to have, so let's look at, this is 6 squared. This is 36. 3. Are people still waiting to answer? This is actually from about 4th grade all the way to high school. You should be able to do it from 4th grade. $108. Okay, that's one answer. So let's see if others are going to come up with answers. All right, I don't see any other answers. So let me go ahead and show you what to do. So 3 squared is going to give you 9. 36 plus 9 gives you 45. Now let's go ahead with this. 8 squared is 64. 4 squared is 16. 64 plus 16 gives you 80. 9 squared is 81. 6 squared is 36. So 81 plus 36 gives you 117. So you were close, quite close. Okay, I don't think we have any more questions, so we'll call it a day today. And please share with your friends. Let them know that there is an hour where they can ask any kind of questions, any type of questions. And they can bring some of their stuff from school that they're not quite sure how to do, and submit them to us so that we can walk through it together. And I'm sure there are other students probably that may have the same questions. So please subscribe to the channel so that when we upload the videos from these sessions, you'll get an alert that the videos are being uploaded, and then you can use that also as part of your study. Thank you for joining. I look forward to working with you tomorrow. Have a blessed day.